The UAW wants Tavares gone, the CEO from Stellantis. I'm going to have to cuss in this live stream, so I'm sorry about that if for those younger viewers. But yeah, they have a very pointed video and website. We'll get to those details. Also have pricing for the Ram 1500 in Brazil. Yeah, I covered this earlier this week. Well, somebody asked me what's the price of these things in Brazil, and I did some Googling and I found it. Yes, we also Ram launched a truck in Middle East as well, one of the bigger markets going on over there. I also have details on the latest Toyota Tacoma transmission woes, updates there, and some other details happening in this video. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. It's Tim, Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk. I do these once a week. I try to do a truck news recap. I'll put it on the podcast, do a video. Things that didn't quite make a full video or maybe a little more behind the scenes, I found out after I shot a video, which happens all the time. I thought, let's just recap these and have some fun. And I enjoy doing this. And apparently, according to the views, you like watching these. So let's get to it. This week is sponsored by, as always, our friends are at Warren Industries. Warren's got a new Xeon winch. It's built in the United States. It's got a thicker line. Sturdy construction, will last a lot longer than the other winches that were made overseas. Buy American. Buy the new Warren winch. And they also tell me they have a new product coming out next year I'm hearing about. So I'm excited to see that. A big fan of those guys. Check them out on Warren Industries, warren.com, and the new Xeon winch. Now, before we get news items, I got to tell you one big news item happened this week. We got a new website. Yes, pickuptrucktalk.com got redesigned, and we have a new website, new layout. Worked on this for a few months with probably 2 months, actually. Yeah, 2 months with the design team. We integrated the forum better. We're talking some information over there as far as topics, reviews, much better laid out. Should work out better. Should be faster to load on mobile. Should be faster to see. I've made the font on some of these news stories, like the Murano got revealed this week. Then you can see more details over at Pickup Truck Talk. I made the font a little bit bigger, easier to see. Guys, I'm getting a little older, and tiny font does not fly with me. And so it's a much better layout. I think it looks a lot more clean. And then photo galleries and all kinds of about stuff. So a lot of good stuff over there. And there's your teaser for the Murano got revealed. It looks pretty good, by the way, too. Although the V6 is gone. It's now going turbocharged. So let's get, though, to the details from, let's start. The UAW. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play part of this video because, well, you guys got to hear this. This is Sean Fain is fired up again. So let me share this on the screen. I'm gonna let's see a tab. I got to share it just right. So I'm gonna here it is. I'm gonna share this. So this, if you don't know, that is the new to me. Well, he's been on for a while. UAW CEO Sean Fain. He is very pointed in his words. So I'm gonna play this, and hopefully I get copyright with this, but you guys can hear this.
UAW family, as you may have heard, Stellantis has filed more than a dozen frivolous lawsuits against our union. This is an act of desperation, plain and simple. 2 weeks ago, nearly 200 leaders from UAW locals across the country came to Detroit to discuss the situation at Stellantis. At the meeting, we reviewed the clear evidence that CEO Carlos Tavares and Stellantis are seriously violating the product commitments in our national agreement. Stellantis has not kept its commitment in Belvidere and has unallocated the Dodge Durango from the Jefferson North Assembly Plant. For years, this company has picked us off, plant by plant, and our leadership lacked the will and the means to fight back. The Stellantis Council unanimously decided that those days are over. All 200 UAW leaders unanimously recommended to the membership that every UAW worker at Stellantis prepare for a fight, and that we all get ready to vote yes to authorize a strike at Stellantis. Now, in response, Stellantis is trying to use the federal courts to stop our campaign to get this company to keep the promises they made to American auto workers in our 2023 contract. Stellantis management has launched a campaign of intimidation and harassment against our members, our local unions, and the international UAW to try to get us to back down from the fight to save our jobs. I have bad news for Stellantis. We're not going anywhere. Their corporate lawyers are claiming that our fight to keep jobs in Belvidere, Detroit, and America is based on what they call sham grievances. But here's the real sham. Over the past 9 weeks, Stellantis has spent over $1 billion on stock buybacks, all while saying they can't afford to keep their commitments to their own employees. In fact, Stellantis has spent $3 billion on stock buybacks this year alone. Our proposal would cost a fraction of what Carlos Tavares has pissed away on Wall Street to save his stock price, which is down 55% since March. The real sham is this campaign of intimidation and interference in our union's business. Stellantis managers are calling members, threatening their jobs. They're emailing our local presidents, threatening lawsuits. This is what happens when a CEO is cornered and isolated. His dealers in America and Europe are turning against him. His suppliers and shareholders are suing him, and he's pushing our customers away. And the sham is that he will walk away with a golden parachute of millions and millions of dollars while American auto workers are left holding the bag. The sham took place this week. When he was asked about stepping down or being replaced, Carlos Tavares said, and I quote, "I signed a contract." Well, Carlos, the workers at Stellantis signed a contract too, and it's time for you to honor it. Our fight is about honoring a contract that Carlos Tavares signed. Our fight is about tens of thousands of American auto worker jobs, our families, and our communities. This is about your job, your life. And the question is, are you going to let Carlos Tavares tell you to sit down and shut up? Or are you going to stand up and fight for what's right, for what you deserve? These aren't sham grievances. These are our lives. Carlos Tavares is a sham CEO with a sham strategy to drive this company into the ground. We will once again save this company from mismanagement, from corporate greed, and from killing tens of thousands of good jobs. But only if we stick together, only if we stand up. So are you in? If you are, sign your strike authorization pledge today. And you can do that by going to shitcancarlos.com. Let me repeat that. You can sign a strike authorization pledge by going to shitcancarlos.com. Let the company know where you stand. And together, let's tell Stellantis the days of plant closures are over and Carlos Tavares needs to go.
So, holy cow! So, yeah, they're really going after this. Is fighting going on, and I was like, well, come on, that website doesn't really exist, does it? I mean, oh, it does. It's right here, shitcantavares.com or shitcancarlos.com, and yeah, you can click the button and sign a pledge to, I guess, to strike is what they're trying to do. Wow. Okay. Moving along in this video, there's there's a lot of details I want to get to in this video, but yeah, that was pretty interesting news from the union. Now, Stellantis is fired back, and I've covered this. Let me pull up the website story for you guys on the new website because it's cool. But let me pull this up because I want to make sure I get the details. So we talked about this earlier this week. I did a video on it, but more details on this. So they expanded production. They're going to build some new factories in Mexico. The UAW, as expected, and other critics of Tavares have said that's just trying to get cheaper labor and screw over UAW jobs. Stellantis has said that it's making other variants of the Ram pickup trucks in Mexico, and that no other announcements have been made about the production of Ram 1500, according to Reuters story. They said in a statement, it recently disclosed plans to invest more than $235 million at the Sterling Heights assembly plant in Michigan to build future electric versions of the pickup. Stellantis will continue to make Ram trucks at its Michigan plant, it said. So, get your popcorn, whatever you believe. Wow, that was crazy. So then somebody on the comments, I don't remember the person's name. I read a lot of comments. Said, Tim, like they're going to launch in Brazil, and that's one of the bigger market for Ram outside the United States. They're going to launch a Laramie and a Laramie Night Edition. Now, I also read a story today that they're launching in the Middle East too. GM's been in the Middle East for a long period of time. Actually, the TRX was a big seller in the Middle East. Why? Big open deserts, cheap gas, right? So I was like, well, how much are they? So I went over to this website here, and yeah, it's I can't say the names of stuff. I actually translated this from Portuguese, and you can see some of the translations not right. So the forum says barbecue farm. So the translation's not quite right. But this is a Laramie, new 2025 Laramie. It's 540,990 whatever reals. Okay, that's Brazilian reals, US dollars. So I was like, what does that mean? It's $540,990. So this is again, only do Laramie and Laramie Night Edition. Apparently, I just read a story in Mopar that Ram is considered a premium brand in Brazil. Let that sink in, because the United States, for a lot of consumers here, have looked at Ram as being the cheap brand to get into. And Brazil, it's the premium brand. Interesting stuff. But Brazilian reals to US dollars, yeah, $95,279. That is the translation of the US dollar to the reals. So that's quite a bit more than it is here in the United States. Looking at, but what I was looking at, I'm going to give you a little what we call truck porn here. I was looking at new vehicles, and I was looking at the Ram page. So I need you to open. Please open. Let me go back over here. See if it opens. Oh, yes. This is, are we back? No, we're still in English. Rampage. Rebel Diesel Rampage. The regular Rampage. Laramie Rampage. Sport Hood. Rebel Rampage. If you know what the Rampage is, it's really basically a mid-sized truck. I think it's a unibody construction, if I remember off the top of my head. There's a lot of speculation coming to the United States because this market for this type of truck has exploded. A lot of Ram fans I know want the Dakota to come back. Well, here it is. All Ram has to do is get this truck to meet certain either safety regulations in the United States. We use a little bit thicker glass for the windshield, the turn signals, things that you have to be for the United States. And they could just take like one of their turbocharged engines and toss it in there, or they just toss the V8, the V6, the Pentastar V6 in this thing. They can sell here. So, yeah, I was just checking this thing out. this thing is really cool. So, lots of stuff going on in Ram. Yeah, $80,000. I did find a used Ram. This is a used Hemi with the automatic. This is the Rebel for $389,990. It's got 42,000 kilometers. And I put that in here. I was thinking, well, how much is that thing? And it turns out $67,000 for a used Ram with 42,000 kilometers. So that seems like that's probably the price of a new one in the United States. There's details for that. I just thought it was interesting. I'm glad the fan asked. I'm glad you guys asked to say how much the pricing was in Brazil, because I was curious too. I know in Australia, it's like way over 100,000 mark because they have to retrofit those. So in Australia, they drive on the other side of the road. So they have to take the whole like dash apart, move the steering over, put it all back together. So it's really expensive to have that done. Moving along, I want to one more thing before I move on from Ram. Apparently, boy, Ram's a big topic conversation in this video. But we have on the forum at pickuptrucktalk.com. If you guys know, our managing editor, Miss Jill Simonello, is doing the Rebelle Rally, and I've been over here posting updates. I started doing this a couple days ago. I should have done it more often of the race itself. I'll close the window for you guys because I get these emails every day from Rebelle newsletter, and so here are some images of day 4. Day 5, and then there's day 6, and so I'm posting this stuff on the forum. I'll put a link to it down below in the description if I remember. Hopefully, I remember. But you can go check it out. I put the day, what they did, the driving they're doing, and then here's Jill over the map. So if you know the Rebelle Rally, there's no GPS, there's no phones usage. It's all pen and paper on a map doing coordinates, and it's a rally, which means you go to rally points. You try to find these obstacles in the desert buried, and you get points for how close you get to these things, and then what you finish. So it's really interesting rally, and this is the Ram RHO. They are driving and that event. Ram Trucks has sponsored the team, and so they are driving that in the deserts of Glamis and places in California. So a lot of details over there on the forum if you want to read through the stuff. A lot of people have been digging it, so I'm going to keep posting over there. Okay, so that covered that. That covered that, I think. Wow. Sorry, that's kind of explosive start with that UAW thing. Wow, that was crazy. Let's talk next about the Tacoma transmission woes. So as we reported many times on this channel, the manual transmission had some issues. They put a TSB out, a technical service bulletin that said, if your transmission has these lights that come up on the dash, if your truck has these lights come up on the dash, take it to the dealership, and you get a new transmission. Well, they've expanded this now to include automatic transmissions as well. And so in this, the automatic transmission assembly and torque converter needs to be replaced to address the condition for the Tacoma vehicle. So if your lights show up on a 2024 Tacoma and Tacoma hybrid, and it is an automatic transmission, if you get these lights coming up on the screen and diagnostic trouble codes say these things, you need a transmission. Now, that has been a very controversial topic with Toyota because people are saying, well, let's say I'm out in the desert somewhere and lights pop up and I lose my transmission. Why not just do a recall? Why do I have to do a technical service bulletin? I really can't argue that one. I think that person's right. I think, if you were to say, why don't you just do that? Right? It's peace of mind. So I know we have some fans of the channel who have these. Ben and Beta's got one, and he's been talking the same thing about, my goodness, it's like, what do you do? I don't know. Interesting stuff. So let's get to one last detail on this. I'll wrap this truck news recap up. But over on the YouTube channel, so we talked about the website. The website's new. We talked about the forum of Jill's stuff going on over there. I played you the video of the Stellantis stuff going on, the drama in Michigan. But what else happened this week on the YouTube channel? So I was gone over the weekend doing a thing with Chevrolet, so I didn't do a truck news recap last week. But if we start from the top to the bottom, if I get down to where the last truck news recap was, somewhere in this range, we had the Ford Expedition came out, Jeep 4xe, there it is, 4xe fires, I did that. My wife drove a Tradesman, and interesting video with that. I talked about a trail hunter with Tacoma. I talked about his Ram really going bankrupt. I'm seeing this all over the place. Like there's some YouTube channels doing videos on this, and I'm like, they're not going bankrupt. They're just going through a transition period. That's what I'm saying. Although UAW is up in the air. Honda Pilot, and we have the Sequoia 1794. I have the BMW X2, whatever the thing they call it. I took a look at Armada, a really short video on Armada. You guys are watching the heck out of that video so far. I was really impressed with that. I had the camera system of Toyota. I have the Tahoe versus Suburban. That was interesting. So at the event, there was Tahoes and Suburbans, and I was able to get them back side by side. And I do this video, and people are really digging on this video. One guy's like, who cares? It's 1.5 foot difference. I think people really do care. They want to see what the actual room is in real life. And I had my tape measure with me. Handy dandy tape measure. So I measured it out. So I get the right there. Hyundai Tucson went live. And then I talked about the Duramax diesel in the Tahoe. And people were asking me some questions on Facebook. I see a lot of Facebook and forum questions about diesel. So I'm going to skip over this Ram one for a minute. But I talked about this in this long video. I basically did a whole sheet and listed all the issues, questions I asked, the issues I had in DEF and mile per gallon and oil and all kinds of stuff. And I put together in this long video with additives. And I'm really happy with the response. You guys are giving me lots of props in the comments. So thank you for that one. People really like all the details I had. And I've interviewed chief engineers. I own the truck. I own the Duramax diesel. I understand this engine pretty well. And then I talked more about the Ram production. I did the story there from the website, put it on there. So pretty fascinating week so far on YouTube channel with news. And I'm going to keep covering the UAW news because I think it's interesting. It's going to affect consumers too, like me. I'm trying to buy a Ram RHO, and apparently it's built. And apparently we're waiting on just shipment or quality control. They usually build a bunch of them. Then they wait and then they ship them out at once. So every dealership can get one. That's how distribution really works. So it's somewhere in that queue. And I hope that I can get it. And the UAW and Stellantis stress, and they won't go on strike, and maybe they go on strike afterwards. Because they don't strike, it's going to cost you guys time for your trucks. It's going to delay everything, which is frustrating. And it's going to cost the company billions. And just go through the strike again. It's going to be tough. So that's what I can do this week on the Truck News Recap. Again, check out the website. I have a new design. Let me know how you think. Put it down in the comments. You like the new design, hate the new design. Give me some details on that. Check out the forum for Joe's stuff at the Rebelle Rally. We have conversations over there as well. And make sure you check out the videos on the channel going right over there, this side, Tim. And again, I'll put the website down below as well. As always, thanks for watching. I will see you down the road.